Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube channel. This time, we're talking about rookies that you want to draft in your 2024 Dynasty leagues. But most importantly, before we start, if you like what we're doing here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to boost the channel. With that said, let's jump into our first rookie, Jonathon Brooks. A lot of the reason people don't like Brooks is his injury. He tore his ACL on November 11th, and I still hear irresponsible takes like Brooks will miss the entire 2024 season, or he won't be back until week 8. I highly doubt that. He started running on March 1st. We know that the Cowboys medical staff are the ones actually in charge of his recovery. They happen to be the same doctors. Brooks expects to be ready for training camp. If the Cowboys pick him in the second round, I would think that their medical staff signed off on such an evaluation. I think he plays week 1. I don't see any reason why he doesn't play week 1, even if it were true that Brooks were going to miss the entire 2024 season. It's not true, but let's say it was. He would only turn 22 in training camp of 2025, while Blake Corum, who some people want to take over Brooks, would turn 24 in the middle of this season. Brooks is almost 3 years younger than Corum, who I talked about in the Rookie Avoids episode last week. Now, getting into Brooks' profile, he literally did nothing in 2021 and 2022 behind Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson. But remember, for a red flag, for a running back, that's not as much of a red flag as it would be for a wide receiver. Running back opportunity is mostly given, not earned. And there's no way that an 18 or 19-year-old Brooks was going to displace the best running back prospect in years, or a future decent NFL prospect in Roschon Johnson, who was in his 3rd and 4th college season. But once Brooks became the starter, he dominated in 2023. In just 11 games, he put up a great season, 187 carries, 1,011 39 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6.1 yards carry, and 25 catches for 286 yards and a touchdown. For me, Brooks is my RB1 in this class. I expect him to be the first running back selected. He's competing with Trey Benson for that honor, and I will be drafting him happily, ignoring these ridiculous injury concerns that people have. You know, I'd be concerned a lot more about age than I would be about injury at the running back position, but that's just me. Next up, same school, Adonai Mitchell. I don't care that the analytics say that he's bad. I don't care. If he goes in the first round, I'm not going to care. He ran a 4.34 40 at 205 pounds. He has elite size, speed combination. Now, he didn't do much at Georgia in 2021 and 2022. That's fair. 2021, 29 catches, 426 yards, 4 touchdowns, 9 catches for 134 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2022. Transferred to Texas in 2023, and he was better. 55 catches, 845 yards, 11 touchdowns. He had fewer catches and yards than Xavier Worthy, but 6 more touchdowns. Now, almost every mock draft has Mitchell as a round 1 wide receiver. I've actually yet to see one that doesn't. So if he goes there, he will be impossible to ignore. His analytical profile, everyone says it's terrible. I mean, his final season is not terrible. He just turned 22 years old in October. There's a lot of old wide receivers in this class, so he's not old. He's also an early declare. It's not the worst analytical profile of all time. It's not absolute bust levels. But if he doesn't go in the first round, I'm not going to have much interest. So this is really dependent on the draft capital. But if he goes to Kansas City at 32 or Buffalo at 28, I'm going to be interested in Adonai Mitchell. First round draft capital says that I'm going to like him. And the testing numbers were there. Next up, Ricky Pearsall. Speaking of a profile that analytical people despise, it did nothing. For 3 years at Arizona State, nothing. I mean, 7 catches in year 1, 6 in year 2, 48 catches for 580 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's decent in year 3. Transferred to Florida for 2022. Had less catches, but did more with them. And then in 2023, he finally broke out. 65 catches, 965 yards, 4 touchdowns. Now, he turns 24 in September, so he isn't young. But we know that a wide receiver, their career can go a little bit longer. So I'm less likely to fade an old wide receiver than I am an old running back. An old running back I really don't want. Seems like Pearsall will go in the second round. Latest projection from Mock Draft Database has him 52nd on the big board, going 48th overall to the Jaguars, which is possible. I heard recently another mock had him going to Bengals in the second round. If dynasty managers stick to their pre-draft evals of Ricky Pearsall, which is that they don't like him, instead of the draft capital that he'll get, I'll definitely be targeting him in drafts. We know that draft capital matters the most, and he wouldn't be the first with a bad analytical profile to hit. And it's not like he was bad. He just didn't really have a great season until his last year. So just something to consider on Ricky Pearsall. And last one, Isaac Guerendo. He's not going to get the draft capital, but he was a standout at the combine. 4.33 40-yard dash at 221 pounds, which is insane. Didn't have much college production. Barely played from 2019 to 2021 at Wisconsin. Got more involved in 2022. If 64 carries is more involved, that's not a good sign. Transferred to Louisville for 2023. Had 132 carries, 810 yards, 11 touchdowns, 22 catches, 234 yards. He does turn 24 in June, so he's a really old prospect. But this is the type of prospect I'll roster because we know running backs get hurt. He can succeed if he gets an opportunity. Similar size and speed to Isaiah Pacheco. Less college experience than Pacheco, but he was a lot better on the opportunities he did receive than Pacheco was. So it's the kind of player that I like to draft in the fourth round of rookie drafts. Running backs with traits. Once we get to that point, I just want to target running backs who have traits to succeed for fantasy. I don't really care about much else. So he'll be someone I'm targeting as a sleeper late in rookie drafts. Now, there were a couple of free agency pieces that I wanted to talk about, all from the Chiefs. So let's jump into that. Carson Wentz signed with the Chiefs. 1-year deal. Back it to Patrick Mahomes. If he ever goes in, he'll probably have fantasy value in this offense. He's a high-end super flex backup. I moved him up 7 spots. These are the kind of players. You roster them because quarterbacks get hurt. You need these backup quarterbacks in Superflex. You never know when you're going to need them. You can flip them maybe for a third. So these are the types of players I never let go to Superflex waivers. And also, Clyde Edwards-Helaire re-signed with the Chiefs. They brought in J.K. Dobbins for a visit. Now, the fact that they brought in J.K. Dobbins for a visit and signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire the same day maybe shows that they didn't like what they saw in J.K. Dobbins' medicals. I don't know. But as for CEH, hadn't done much in the last 2 years. Lost his starting job in 2022 to Isaiah Pacheco. Just had 71 carries for 302 yards and 3 touchdowns and 17 catches in 2022. Didn't do anything better in 2023. Outproduced in 2022 by Jerick McKinnon. Fewer rushing attempts in 2023 than Patrick Mahomes. He's not a real dynasty asset. I think that the Chiefs will bring in another running back in the NFL draft to fill out this room. I don't think they wanted both their veterans, CEH and McKinnon, back. They need a youth element. They preferred CEH over McKinnon, I guess, as the RB3. So, it's the running back on the Chiefs. So if somehow there were 2 injuries in front of him and CEH went in, he'd have some value, but I'm not really interested in him. And like I said, I think the Chiefs draft a running back maybe in the 3rd round to fill out this room. Now, I want to thank everyone for watching the video so far. If you like what I'm doing here, make sure to like the video, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support the channel directly. Now, if you want, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/fantasy advice. Up there, you can ask advanced questions for the YouTube. I only have 2 of them today, but we'll get into those right now. 12-team, 1 QB, half PPR. If you're good at quarterback, running back, and tight end, so not wide receiver, what would we be doing with a ton of picks? Here's a list of picks. I'm always targeting value. I don't mind sending picks for veterans, but it's got to come at a good value. I don't mind being deep at wide receiver in a 1 QB, especially because quarterback is not really very valuable there. What I always like to do, though, is take advantage of the leverage of being on the clock. When you're on the clock, you can get better deals that you couldn't get otherwise. So, yeah. I'm fine loading up at one position or another. I don't care. I just want to take value. But trading out when you're on the clock is often something that you can do successfully. Now, last question. 1 QB PPR rookie draft after the top 3 wide receivers. How would you tier Caleb Williams in relation to the next group of players? Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Roma Odunze are way ahead of Williams in a 1 QB. I also like Brock Bowers, Brian Thomas Jr. They're pretty far ahead of Williams. So after that, we get to the tier that Williams is in. It depends on draft capital and landing spot. I expect at least some of Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, and Jonathon Brooks, who we talked about today, Trey Benson, Lab McConkey, Keon Coleman, and Troy Franklin to get good landing spots and draft capital to be worth more than Williams in a 1 QB. I have Williams at 110 right now. Think about it. How many quarterbacks would you send a first for in 1 QB? I mean, you'd send it for Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Lamar, Joe Burrow. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray. I'm not sure. So 6 or 7, 8. It's not a lot. So it's tough to rate any quarterback in the first round. I think Caleb Williams is worth it, but yeah, 110 is about right in a 1 QB. Now, like I said, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all of our future content. If you want, wrong hand, sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/fantasy advice. And that's where you can catch all of my content, the Discord, my rankings, everything, and advanced questions for the YouTube. But until next time, I want to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.